Alright guys, here we are with 8.2, adding and subtracting rational expressions. Alright, so rational expressions, we got fractions, so think about when you're adding and subtracting fractions, you got to get a common denominator. So that's what the main idea is for today. We're going to have to get common denominators to add and subtract these. Multiplying, right, just go straight across, look to cancel if you can. Division, we flip it upside down and turn it into multiplication anyways. Adding and subtracting got a little bit more work. Alright, so we got to find the common denominator, or sometimes called least common multiple here, using that process. So it's a little trickier when there's letters involved. So what I like to do is write them all like stacked on top of each other like this. Okay. So 16x. So the letters you really don't have to do a whole lot with, but the numbers you kind of got to think about their prime factorization. So 16, you can break it apart if you want to do your factor tree or whatever, is 2 to the 4th. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So this is going to be 2 to the 4th and an x, okay? If you want to do your factor tree and break that down over here on the side, you can. 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. The prime factorization there is going to be 2 to the 3rd. And we have an x squared y to the 3rd. Okay, 5, that's it. It's just 5. You can't factor 5. X to the 3rd and y. Alright, so here's the tricky part. If they overlap, like they both have a 2 here, okay, we use the biggest one. If there's more than one of them, you take the biggest one. So I'm going to take 2 to the 4th. Okay, there is only one 5, so I have to use it. Alright, everybody's got an x. Everybody's got an x squared, x to the 3rd. If there's more than one of something, you take the biggest one, x to the 3rd. No y to the 3rd, y. Alright, if there's more than one, take the biggest one, y to the 3rd. Okay, so I got 2 to the 4th times 5 times x to the 3rd times y to the 3rd. You type it in, 2 to the 4th, 16 times 5 is 80, x to the 3rd, y to the 3rd. Alright, these are kind of rough. Okay, the letters you don't have to do much with. The numbers, you kind of think of the prime factorization. If you need to make your tree, go for it. Alright, if there's more than one of something, you take the biggest one. There was only one 5, so I had to use this 5. Okay, there was more than one 2 to pick from, so you take the biggest one. 2 to the 3rd, 2 to the 4th, I'm taking 2 to the 4th. Okay, everybody had an x, there was lots of x's, you take the biggest one. Okay, there we go. Alright, it's a pretty similar process when they're not monomials, when we got binomials or trinomials and you got to factor things out. 3y squared minus 9y, and then we got y squared minus 8y plus 15. So now we got to factor a little bit. This is going to be, I can take a y out of both, I can take a 3 out of both. 3y times y minus 3. And if I factor this apart, what multiplies to 15 and adds to negative 8, we should be getting negative 5 and negative 3. So y minus 5, y minus 3. Okay, this brings up a good one. So before we said if they have more than one, you take the biggest one. What if it's a tie? Then it doesn't matter, you just take one. Okay, so here's a 3 and a y, so I got to use that. And then I have this y minus 5, and then this tied, alright? If one of these was y minus 3 squared and y minus 3 to the first, I would take the bigger one. But if there's a tie, it doesn't matter which one you take, you just have to write it down once. And there it is. Okay? So when it's kind of like written out like these, it's kind of tougher to think about. You're doing the exact same thing down here, but for whatever reason, it's a lot easier for kids to kind of like work their way through it. Okay, because you're looking at, I need a common denominator with 5x and 4y to the third. Okay, what is that common denominator going to be? All right, well, there's nothing in common with 4 and 5, so you're just going to multiply them together, 20, and xy to the third. So I'm trying to get the denominator to be 20xy to the third. What does this side need to do? So I need to multiply by 5x to make this 20xy to the third. And this side is going to need a 4y to the third, top and bottom, right? Because if I multiply one piece by the same thing, top and bottom, that's like multiplying by 1. So over here, we're going to have 48y to the fourth plus 25x squared all over one denominator. That was the point of making sure they were the same. 20xy to the third. And there's nothing you can do to combine those. Nothing you can do to combine those. All right. Slide over here to the next one. Okay, this one I'm looking at, and maybe it's not quite so obvious. So then maybe you want to set this up over here on the side. 12a and 18ab to the third. All right, so what's the prime factorization of 12? You do your little factor tree. You should have 2, 2, 3, or 2 squared times 3, and then this is got the a still. 18, 9 times 2, 9 breaks down to 3 times 3. So 2 times 3 squared times a b to the third. Okay, so take the biggest one, 2 squared, biggest one, 3 squared, a b to the third. So 2 squared times 3 squared, that's 4 times 9, that's 36. AB squared is what I'm trying to get the bottom to be. All right, this one is kind of easier to figure out, just kind of looking at it. You can do 20xy to the third. This one, it wasn't going to be so easy. All right, if you just did the same thing over here, see over here there's nothing in common, so you can just multiply 5x times 4y to the third, and you're going to get 20xy to the third. Here, 12 and 18 have some numbers, have some factors in common, so the actual common denominator should be smaller than just multiplying 12 times 18. That would be a really big number to deal with. Okay, so I need this one to be, oh, this is b to the third, my fault, b to the third. So over here, 36, 18, ab to the third, I just need this times 2. And times 3, we already have the a, so this is times 3 b to the third. So on the top, 3b to the third times 7b is going to be 21b to the fourth minus 2 all over that common denominator of 36ab to the third. Okay, slide over. All right, what about this one? X squared plus 9x plus 18 and x plus 6. So x squared plus 9x plus 18 is going to be x plus 6, x plus 3. And this one just has the x plus 6 on the bottom. So we're going to go x plus 3, x plus 3. And now we should have the same. So we're going to have 4x plus 5x plus 15 for a 9x plus 15 over x plus 6, x plus 3. Okay, let's have you push pause down here on number 4 or on D, and let's see if you can kind of take what we did here. It should be pretty similar to C, and see if you can do that one. Go ahead and push pause. All right, if we're looking at this now, guys, we got y minus 9 and y minus 3. This one already has the y minus 3, so I'm just missing the y minus 9. Okay, and that's going to be 8y minus 72 plus 2y minus 5. All right, 8y plus 2y is 10y, negative 72, negative 5, minus 77, all over our y minus 9, y minus 3. Okay, let's do one more of these. We might skip one of those over there. I want to make sure we get another one of these and get down to here. We might just do one of these down here as well, because they're all three the same type. But I definitely want to do B and show you here, guys. We haven't had one come up yet, but sometimes you got to be super careful. I thought maybe this was going to be it, okay? So after you combine them over here, you kind of have to be careful, like 9 and 15. They could both be divided by 3. I could pull a 3 out in front, and it'd be 3 times 3x plus 5, right? I was kind of worried that maybe I'd get one that's going to cancel out later and reduce. You have to watch out for those. Some of these, after you combine the tops, could be factored to cancel something out off the bottom. All right? Usually if that happens, that means that you missed a canceling along the way somewhere else, or you had too big of a common denominator. But sometimes you can do everything right, and it's a perfect problem, right? It's a perfect storm, and then your top is still could be factorable after you combine things that would then cancel out. So that's a hidden extra step there at the end that sometimes happens. Okay, so here we would have 3 times x plus 2. Here we have x squared minus 4, so that's x plus 2, x minus 2. All right, so this has a 3 over here. This one needs a 3. 3 there. 3 times that. X plus 2, x minus 2. This one needs the x minus 2. All right, and this minus in the middle is also going to play a big role here. You got to watch out. Okay, so on the top, 4 times x, 4 times minus 2. We got 4x minus 8. Now this minus is going to hitch on to the 3. It's going to be like negative 3 going to everything. Minus 3x minus 3. All over 3x plus 2, x minus 2. Okay, 4x minus 3x is going to be x. Negative 8, negative 3, negative 11. All right. Okay, we're going to drop down to here. We're going to do 4b. Then we'll come up here and do the perimeter one. Okay. So, fractions on fractions. We'll zoom in here. This is a really small one. Fractions on fractions. Okay, so you need to be able to get a common denominator for the top fraction, then a common denominator for the bottom fraction. Then you're going to flip it and see what we can do. Okay, so just paying attention to the top. 3 over x plus 2 over y. Okay, this side's going to need an x. This side's going to need a y. So we're going to have 3y plus 2x. Our common denominator there is just xy. All right. Okay, pretty easy. It's just one thing, x, y. So just multiply together. Common denominator should be xy. This one needed a y. This one needs an x. All right, now look at the bottom. We got 1 over 1, 4 over y. So the denominator here is just going to be y. So you're going to multiply this one by y, y. So we got 1y plus 4 over y. All right, now we're going to flip this one and multiply by that reciprocal. So the y is on top, the y plus 4 is on the bottom. Times. Okay, now we can do a little canceling here. This y can cancel that y. So now we got 3y plus 2x on the top, and x times y plus 4 on the bottom. Okay. Do we have time to go back here and do another one? Yep. Let's do the perimeter one, just in case. So back to geometry, perimeter of a rectangle. Okay. Distance around. It's a rectangle, so you also have to think about this because they only gave us two sides. On a rectangle, I know then this one is 4x plus 1, and this is also going to be 3x minus 2. All right, so I have 3 over x minus 2 plus another 3 over x minus 2 plus 4 over x plus 1 plus another 4 over x plus 1. Zoom out a little bit. I'm stuck. My paper can't get any closer. There we go. Okay. So these are already a common denominator. I can put those together. 6 over x minus 2 plus, put these two together, 8 over x plus 1. All right, there's no other factors, so this is pretty nice. So when it's just like one thing and one thing, this one's going to need the x minus 2, and this one needs the x plus 1. And I'm just going to put the plus 1 in the front on the bottom over here so it matches this one. So across the top, we'll have 6x plus 6, 8x minus 16. Again, this was a plus, but think back to a couple problems ago. If this is a minus, kids forget about this all the time. If this is a minus, this minus is going to go with this to both parts. So across the top, we got 6x and 8x for 14x minus 10 all over x plus 1, x minus 2. Okay, again, I'm looking at this, both even. I could pull out a 2, 7x minus 5. That's not going to help me cancel anything there, so I'm just going to leave it. All right, you do have to watch out for some of those in the book that happen like that. I haven't done this. We do have another minute here before this bell rings and I got to go to the next class. I haven't done this one before. That's blank on my one from last year, so let's just see what we got. That might turn out to be one that cancels. A minus 4, A plus 4. Take a 6 out in front. A plus 4. So this side's going to need a 6, and this side's going to need the minus 4. Okay, so across the top we'll have 18a plus 12. Now remember this minus is going to go with a 7. Minus 7a plus 28. So it's going to give us 11a. That's going to be tough to factor. So yeah, it's not one of those sneaky ones. You'll see it. You'll know when we get there. You'll get like one answer, and it's going to look right. And then the book answers are going to look totally different. That's probably one. There was a sneaky one where it could cancel out at the end. All right. All right, guys, that's all we got time for. I didn't get to A and C on the bottom. I'll throw it up right here so you can push pause if you want to see how those look. Last year's version there's 4A. If you want to check that out, push pause and check that out. And then here's 4C if you want to check that out. Okay, otherwise you're good to go for 8.2. Thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you in class.